Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, internet's most echoey, in need of a shotgun mic coming in the mail very soon, music nerd. And it's time for a review. Unsane, Wreck. This is the 7th full-length album from this New York band. They've been kicking since the 80s. And when the 90s hit and hardcore punk was waning, it was post-hardcore and noise rock bands like Unsane that were just keeping things harsh, negative, and gritty. Because life isn't just all, sunny days and gala luncheons. Life is also dead bodies in the middle of fields and dead bodies on train tracks and blood and blood and blood. If the album covers weren't already proof of this and the band's logo, Unsane has been, over the years, an incredible case for consistency. All 7 of their albums, it's kind of hard to actually see them as being made over the course of about 20 years. Some of Unsane's albums are heavier than others, more extreme, or have a better recording quality, better production, but change hasn't really been all that necessary for Unsane because their music hasn't ever really relied on a gimmick. On an Unsane album, you're going to hear a lot of straightforward, hard and heavy rock drumming, very distorted and dirty bass lines, wailing guitars, mid-paced riffs, and Chris Spencer's very unique vocal delivery. He is just screaming his brains out on a lot of these tracks, but he has kind of this yelp at the end of all of his screams, and his voice has kind of a mid-range quality to it too. Even though he is just really yelling at the top of his lungs, he still conveys a lot of emotion, or I guess variations in emotion. He kind of switches back and forth between sounding completely pissed off or just desperate and upset and fed up with the way the world around him works, kind of lost, kind of no way out. It's just a really simple formula that has so little tagged onto it that it's kind of hard to call it dated, because even though there are elements of songs on here that do feel kind of 90s, at the end of the day, Unsane is just playing really angry, visceral rock music. Now, even though Unsane is incredibly consistent, that does not mean there's no variety on this LP. For example, I really like the rhythm section on the opening track. The drums just rely on the toms so much it feels primal. The beat on this track feels so primal. The bass line's going crazy, and I'm pretty sure the verses, the time signature's in 5. But the groove is so hard and so fast, and the band is just playing the song with so much energy, I barely even noticed it. I was more thinking about, hey, let's try to find something to punch my arm through. The next track on here kind of slows things down, brings things into a 3/4 time signature, really kind of gets dark and desperate. And while it is a nice change of pace, the very slow tempo of this track kind of makes the song feel like it drags on a bit for me. The song No Chance After, though, is completely badass. That riff. Maybe some hardcore fans might disagree with how great that song is, but I just love the groove on that song. I feel like Spencer sounds especially pissed off on that track, and the harmonica that comes in on that song. It just sounds like music I would pair with bikers beating the living daylights out of somebody, like this close to death. However, there are quite a few tracks on here like Pigeon and Metropolis and Don't that don't really hit me with a unique angle or sound or like a memorable riff or a great groove or anything like that. The aggression and the force is there, but it doesn't really get my blood boiling, I guess. However, the song Ghost is great, throws another odd time signature out there with some really interesting guitar riffs to dance around that and make it feel just really dissonant and angular. The track Stuck kind of plays with a loud, soft dynamic, and over the very quiet verses, Chris Spencer kind of tones his vocals down and actually sings something pretty soulful. I don't know if soulful is really a word I'd apply to this band most of the time. The final track on here, Ha Ha Ha, is actually a Flipper cover, and a really snarky and just sarcastic one at that. And Chris Spencer has that usual kind of claustrophobic, distorted vocal effect that you'll hear on earlier Unsane records. It just feels like classic Unsane, and with that added kind of cover element, it makes this song maybe not one of the best that Unsane has recorded, but a really interesting kind of tidbit for longtime fans. Overall, I'm feeling like this is a pretty solid record. You know, nothing overall terrible if you're looking for a really extreme and hard-hitting rock record in 2012. Give it a listen. However, I will admit, in comparison with albums like Vis Queen or even Occupational Hazard, this is not the heaviest or the most aggressive Unsane has ever been. For sure. It's not the catchiest or most melodic they've ever been either. But in regards to those things, the step down is so small that I still ended up coming away from this album relatively satisfied. I'm kind of feeling a strong 6 to a light 7 on this thing. Thought it was good, but what do you guys think of it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? And what should I review after this? Anthony Fantano, Unsane, forever.